the sense of realization that everything was a pure simulation was so real that it was like all these books and all these artworks and Alexandra and Emeka, all these things, like they're not even gonna exist anymore.
You know, John's streaming. He's having this like really, you know, cosmic intense experience, and Emeka's just like, yeah, man, I'm here. Here's a pussy suicide. And John's instantly like, sick, let's do it. Like, what the fuck? These two weirdos found each other and they're about to go on a journey together. You know?
Big hormone enneagram.
I'm John Lekovich, 415, sexual self-pres, 458 trifix.
I'm David Gray, self-pres sexual, 9 with 1 wing, 974 trifix.
What up, it's Emeka. I'm an 8-wing-7, sexual self-pres with 854 fixes.
Hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm a social self-preservation 9-wing-1, 963 trifix.
Like and subscribe on Apple and Spotify, and leave us a review. If you want to support the show with a donation, you can find us on Venmo at Big Hormone and paypal.me/Big Hormone.
So I've been considering doing antidepressants for my depression, and I still feel kind of uncomfortable with that because I've had bad experiences with antidepressants. And so on the fucking equinox, I took just a full dose of psilocybin because I heard yet another thing that was reinforcing how that is used in the treatment of depression. And you know, Alexandra was not doing it, so it was just me, and I just went all in, and it was like it came on faster than any trip.
Ooh.
I made it in a smoothie, so I don't know if that was what happened, but it came on so fast that I was getting actually kind of sick almost to my stomach. Like I felt nauseous because I was like so destabilized so fast. And yeah, so anyway, I remember just like going through some stuff internally, and then eventually came out to the couch where Alexandra was watching a show, and I just kind of like curled up, and then like had this whole process of like kicking and around because there was like some like, you know, basically in like my root chakra was like felt like there was like a stuck energy, and then it got kind of cleared, and I was like, man, I just want to hang out with Dave and Emeka and Alexandra right now, and a couple other people, you know, like zone people.
And I think I mentioned to you on text the next day, I saw the text, but I was like super in a guitar zone, like a multi-hour, like a fucking 6-hour guitar extravaganza, and it was just like, oh man, I wish I could do it, but God, I'm so high on the guitar right now.
You were there, and then that's what you do at the zone anyway. So
well, there you go.
you know, you're part.
My
I mean,
presence. Yeah.
But yeah, what I was saying before we started recording is like, you know, I started a group text to like send people just like whatever. Like I felt very social. I wanted to hang out with David, Emeka, and other people, and I kind of just had shit to share. I was like, I'm having a transmission. And so I did this group text, and couldn't group text, like there was a limit, I guess. So I couldn't include everybody I wanted to include, but you know, it was like a lot of people, and I was kind of like doing it. You know, I think I asked something if anybody was there, and Emeka was right there, and he was like, "This is the music," and it was the playlist was Pussy Suicide, and it like perfectly fit. It was like I was like perfectly in the other world, and it was like this is the right thing exactly, and it was just like I started sending people pictures from my drawing pad of just like these like realms of the other world and how it was all making sense. And but I mean, that moment of Emeka just sending that playlist and him being up and it perfectly matching was something that Alexander and I keep talking about how like hilarious and perfect that was. But yeah, it was great. And then so yeah, I got to this place though where, how do I put this? Like I legitimately thought that I was going to die. Like bleep out of existence.
How many grams had you taken?
I think it was 3.
Okay.
It might have been a little more, but it was not like way insane.
I think it was almost 4.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Your food is behind you, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. All right, nice. Nice. Yeah, numbers aren't my thing. So anyway,
4 grams
Oh.
is significant.
but it was
Well,
You would have a time with 4 grams.
I had
Have
quite
you
a
worked
time.
with the Enneagram before? It's based on numbers.
Yeah, but they're based on like qualities that are given numbers
Ah,
rather than like
this is
math
true.
and addition and stuff.
Numbers as symbols.
So I
Test
had
markers.
this experience, and I've had this before where like I was like relating to the Ennead of Heliopolis, or like the Enneagram is like the Tetractys, like it's like the ultimate pattern of reality. And I started experiencing myself not in an egoic way, but like I recognize that like, oh, I am consciousness. Like I am consciousness, and there's only one consciousness, and it's just happening through me. And that my entire life experience was like a projection that was meant, a story that was meant to lead my consciousness to the realization of how I was consciousness. It was like a wake, like I was like the eye of God awakening through me or something. And I started to like, I recognize like in this objective Enneagram, or this outside of time Enneagram, that like, I was a point on this, and that you all were points on it. And like Alexandra was like my divine feminine, whatever, but she also was not separate from me. And like, so after like this like barrage of texts, Emeka and I were just like on Discord talking, and it was crazy because it was like, I really thought that like, like David, you were in the atmosphere, but it was like I was on my deathbed with the 3 of you, but it wasn't like I was going to die and then you guys would have to deal with my body. It was like I like was looking around, realizing that all of reality was dying too. Like it was not actually real. It was all like a simulation, sort of to get my consciousness. It was like going to the end of the maze or something. It was like everything is a movie.
Right. Or it's not necessarily dying, but it was always just an illusion.
Just an illusion. It's like a movie where you need a movie to like be good enough to buy into, but you also know it's a movie the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like coming to the end of the movie, and I was like saying to Emeka and Alexandra, I was like I was actually getting worried, because I was like, oh, I'm going to be dead, and you guys might have to like live without me. And then I like I was like preparing them to be like, I don't have anything else to like, my consciousness doesn't have anything else left to do anymore. So like I'm going to be gone. And then I started realizing that I was like maintaining the person of Alexandra and the person of Emeka, but they weren't actually separate from me. And I kept trying to like take care of their emotions and just relate to them. And I was like, oh, this is actually the way I'm maintaining these psychological objects, but they're really just me. And I was seeing like, I was like Emeka especially, I was like seeing him as like this like double aspect of myself that has been with me my entire life, that has been like the like if I was like God or Ra, like he was like the logos, like in the sense of this force that I'd been relating to, that had helped me figure things out from the beginning. And I was seeing in him like this sense of like true friendship, but also like a challenge to me that like kept me sharp. And it was like I was really seeing like brotherhood, like in this real way. And it like tied into all the stuff related to my brother, who's like only 20 months younger than me. But, I think like my mom has borderline, but my brother, I think, has it too, is not diagnosed though. And that he was like, like very violent, like just, we would like fight like really violently a lot and argue all the time. And it was like, I was this whole thing. So it was like I started recognizing that like I project onto my male friends a bit of I'm going to get betrayed, in the way that like I felt betrayed by like my brother. Just like when I was like he's my brother, but he's my enemy all the time. And it was like this Osiris Set thing. And so anyway, there was a point in the night where I was like, the sense of realization that everything was a pure simulation was so real that it was like I was like mourning that like, oh, like all these books and all these artworks and Alexandra and Emeka, all these things, like they're not even gonna exist anymore. Like it was not even just like I'm gonna leave the planet and people are like time is gonna go on. It was like I was mourning that like there's gonna be no Alexandra left. There's gonna be no David left. Like there's never been. And then I like went to this place of like so letting go and so being ready to die that I like got just to my breath. I was like, this is the only thing that actually exists. And it was so funny because like I laid down on my floor and I thought like, you know, when people die, like they're like, you know, bowels give out and stuff. I like even surrendered that. I was like, I might actually just shit all over the floor here. Maybe I should go into the bathroom. Then I was like, oh, there is no bathroom. There's no floor. Like, I'm not going to be a mess for Alexandra because she doesn't, like, this is just my personality continuing to maintain her as a separate object.
Right.
And so I saw like my floor as like a sarcophagus, bathroom, prison, like all these, like, it was like all at once. And it was like everything just went and there was nothing. And it was so funny because it was like, I was just expecting to blip out of existence and I could just keep hearing Emika's voice talking. And I was like, there was nothing, just, you know, Emika just talking. And it was so funny.
Emika in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it just like reality slowly just like came back. And then gradually like I kind of like became myself again and I realized what I was and I was still shocked. I was like, any second my consciousness is going to like really let go. Like I had thoughts too of like, oh, this is what like enlightenment is. And my ego would come and be like, oh, maybe you're going to be like a master. And then I was like, no, there's no such thing as a master. Master is like an idea that my consciousness needed the idea that there's people who've been realized so that I could like strive to realize myself. But they don't exist. And there was like a complete lack of even ego around that. It was just like complete ego death. And so then, and then Emika and I just like talked for like 4 hours. After that, it was so funny. But it touched on so fucking much, and I'm still really digesting it. But it was like why it's like not just for me, not just like a drug trip, but it was like touched on like it made real stuff that I've like studied or kind of like approached in inner work or whatever. Like it made that stuff viscerally real, and I'm still like integrating the sense of how much I can let go of. You know, like that possibility of letting go went so much deeper than I thought possible. I let everything go, and still existence was there and came back, and so it was sort of like a really valuable like station or reference point or something. So
no, you can use mushrooms to, well, just like have a question in mind, so to speak, and you will just sort of out of the blue, it'll come through at some point in the trip. That happened to me about 6 or 12 months ago. Well, it's funny because it was I was trying to understand this one symbol. Did I tell you about the woman who had written this, who had a big mushroom trip, but part of her thing was a big David revelation? It was hilarious. And there was this one symbol that was in there that I couldn't quite figure out. All the other symbols I didn't get. Anyway, so I did a shroom trip, just like a 2 gram, and then I won't tell you guys what it is.
Yeah, no, that sense that, you know, there's like being on drugs, but then there's like the thing that you can look into that's like a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had that stuff before, but this was like, I mean, we went to my Gurdjieff group restarted again on Monday, and we were there, and my teacher was like slinging his esoteric stuff, and it was like, yes, I saw that, you know, I was there, you know, like it wasn't just concepts, it was like it was so real. And man,
you were at the edge there. He was like, I think I've solved the puzzle of consciousness, and I don't see what I see is sort of the end of the story, which is just loss. Like that's the thing that's going to happen next, is just blipping out of existence at some random point. And I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, here's pussy suicide. Here we go. We're doing it. Over the edge together.
So not only are you dead, but all the mothers' birth canals are dead now, and so there's no more life anywhere.
There was no like, you know, John was just like a fucking almost like a video game character for a consciousness to have a story, and you get to the end of the movie, end of the story, and you know, I compared it to the end of Holy Mountain when they pull away, but it was like pull away, but then if there's like another pull away after the end of Holy Mountain, or like Alexandra compared it to like you know, Plato's cave, those like
the allegory of the cave. Yeah.
Allegory of the cave, and then you like, you know, you're looking at the shadows on the wall, and then you realize the shadows are actually shadows of objects behind you that are lit by some light source. You can turn around and see the light source, and the objects are being held up by some other people, and and then you go up and you can continue through the cave, and you go outside the cave, and you go into the sunlight. And it was like that, except there was like another level where you then realize that you are looking at a picture, like that the cave whole experience was like a picture you're looking at, and you can like put down the page or something.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like, I know it sounds really egotistical, but it didn't there was no ego in it. It was just, it's not about even like, it was not about me. It was just like, oh, I'm just the consciousness waking up. And the same way that like you have to watch a movie to get a certain thing from that movie, to get a certain realization or catharsis or understanding, all of experience was just a kind of a movie to get my consciousness or the consciousness to recognize that it was just consciousness. And at a certain point, I got to a place where there was like form and formlessness, and then it just became the void. And I was just like, oh, I've always known I'm the void, and now I really like, I believe I'm the void. And I was just, that's when I was just like, there was only breath left. And Emeka's voice. So Emeka, I appreciate so much how you're just there for me the whole night. It was crazy. That was such a important thing.
Glad to be there.
So funny.
I want to
the only one up, like in the void with me. Like, I'm right here.
Yeah, we were joking about that for a while afterwards, of being like, wow, Emeka really matched your freak. Like, you really, really did. Just as soon as everything was coming up, you know, John's streaming, he's having this like really, you know, cosmic intense experience, and Emeka's just like, yeah, man, I'm here. Here's a pussy suicide. And John's instantly like, sick, let's do it. Like, what the fuck? These two weirdos found each other, and they're about to go on a journey together. You know?
Yeah, I want to be on the next one, be a different vibe or something. I think I would have messed up that one. I think because I would have wanted attention in a certain way, and you would have been on your certain trip.
John was on his deathbed for sure.
Yeah.
He was saying stuff like, there's nothing left for me, something's gonna happen, like I'm gonna die, all of this stuff, and I'm sitting there completely sober. I kind of keep moving from room to room because you know, John was just like, all right, I'm going to have my experience. And I'm like, great, I'm going to give you space for your experience. But then he kind of kept like, just like following me around like holding a computer, talking about how he's going to die. And I'm just like, this is a lot for me here.
He was worried that the pussy was going to die.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
I was like, this is the song of the moment. This is the room that we need to be in right now.
Oh, man, I found some other good songs by that same artist. I mean,
oh, nice,
really good ones.
No, I'm so excited for the zone. Like,
oh yeah, me too.
It was just like this spontaneous. It was like just a zone is just somehow always happening, or we're always like ready for one somehow.
No, I prepare for months on the guitar.
Yeah.
I'm always in some kind of zone if I can.
Yeah.
I started reading the things that you were dumping there, and I was like, I mean, because it's kind of like all these different synchronicities. Because I had gone on a HR after we talked about after Bone Tomahawk, I'd gone on a HR Giga kick and watched like a couple documentaries on him, and it's just like if you get saturated in his art, you just feel like you're in the void. Like you just feel like you're just those images, like you're in a tomb. And so as you were streaming, it's like the images that you were sending, it was just, and also sort of like the music that I'd been listening while I was it all kind of fit, and I'm like, yeah, let's go.
No,
Cool.
it wasn't just cool, like it meant so much to me, you know, like it was like it meant so much, and I don't know, it was one of the themes of just like all of our friendships is just like how much you guys like just like support me, and I'm not used to that, and it means a lot, and I'm always like, I talked a little bit about it on that night, but just like I'm always kind of, there's a part of me that in friendships is always waiting for like the shoe to drop in some way.
It's interesting you say that, because I guess I can feel that as I think about us or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm always like I'm always waiting for something to shift or change or whatever. And it's funny, like speaking of synchronicity, like I had my therapy session on Thursday, and somehow like it got to like she was all asking me about my relationship with my dad and my brother, like, and that's not really, they don't really have energy for me in the same way that other members of my family do. And but it got into like, I was like, yeah, I actually like kind of like generally hate dudes, like generally don't trust men overall, and like a lot of like male culture or whatever is like very stupid. And I was like, anyway, and then it got into all this like stuff like that kind of started to seed that like all this stuff about my brother came up, and related to Emeka, but you were there too, David. Like we kept bringing you in. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, it would be nice if David was here. Like you were a part of it, and it was like this with the both of you. For me, like, have y'all seen Dune, the movies?
Yeah,
I haven't seen the second one. Didn't really like. I liked the look of the first one, but I couldn't really hook into it emotionally.
Well, there's like it's based on a lot of like mystical stuff, right? Like it's mixed in, and so like when Paul Atreides at the end of the first one is meeting like those Fremen, like those the desert people. There's like this group of desert people that are like around him, and he has to fight one of them and kills them to like get initiated. But then that one becomes like his like spiritual friend, or it's like always talking about like the friend when he's having the like the spice visions or whatever. And it was this thing of like one of the things that like came to me was when I like being younger with my brother. It was like my brother was just like my fucking enemy. Like we would like fist fight like really intensely. Like
wow.
Like I have chipped teeth because he would just sometimes like just up and just punch me in the face. And I'd be driving to school, and it would be like full on like fist fighting in traffic while we're driving.
Damn.
I think he's got borderline.
Yeah, and then being a 6, I mean, 6, they've got to be against something almost in every moment.
Totally. Yeah. So we're very close in age, and so it was this thing where like different feelings around that dynamic, and generally like I don't respect nor care about the respect of other guys, like I'm kind of indifferent overall. But then it was like with like you and you guys and like some other close male friends, like I do have more of like I want you guys to respect and care about me. And it's a little bit of like a vulnerability space, because I'm like, you know, that
You don't
archetype.
know if you're going to get attacked.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't
Mhm.
like the one kind of like close male that was we were supposed to be like going
Yeah.
through stuff together. Was always like fucking attacking me, and we've been watching that Menendez brothers show.
Oh,
And we were watching it, and you know, it's like ridiculous, like dark and ridiculous and whatever. But I was like, I had this like, there was a way that they're like, we're in this together. We're like gonna kill our parents together. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like I had this like envious moment, you know?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, whoa,
if
like
only
where did
you
that come
guys could
from?
have done that.
Yeah. But that sense of like we're like like I thought of like when soldiers always talk about like being in the like
Sure.
in battle with their brothers or whatever. You know, it was like
Mhm.
whoa, I never even knew that was
No, that's
an
the thing.
energy for me or something. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting how like what you grew up with. Because I grew up with sisters, and my dad was pretty distant, and so I've always kind of like overvalued male friendships more so because I kind, just it's easy for me to hang out with girls, but and so I've always sought out male friendships more so, and I would say I don't have a lot of negativity around that. Like it's more like if I have a solid friendship with someone, it's like it feels like it's for a life thing.
Mhm.
And generally my friendships kind of like are long lasting sort of things. So yeah, it's interesting that I guess because you had a bad brother, that sort of set the framework for your relationship to men. But I've generally had a really pretty good relationship with dudes.
I've got a multi-decade arc story to all of that whole thing of, I don't know, connecting to the masculine in a certain way and a man and male energy and so forth. I mean, part of my deal with guys is I went to school, at a rich kid's school where it was all like Texas oil and gas ranch kids,
Oil money.
and they were overtly prejudicial against the middle class kids, like just full on like racism vibe. Like I would be on bikes with a few guys, and they were going to go to one guy's house, and they would say, well, Gray can't go, or you know what I mean, just shit like that, just like full on, just like in my face. And that was pretty brutal, some of that stuff. And anyway, yeah, just similarly, well, I don't know, I've just always been artistic and sensitive and all that shit, and seducing women at a young age, and my whole thing was women. But like I played football, and ran, and I was a really good athlete and stuff. I mean, when I was a kid, I was, we had 6-man YMCA football, and I was like the star running back because I was really fast and shit like that. So anyway, but yeah, then jumping forward to when my mom died at 25, I read that book, Iron John, and then it was like, oh shit, okay. Like I've really got to sort of betray a lot of this over sensual, yummy mother world stuff in a certain way. Not totally, right? But just, and it led to sort of like just really valuing certain men's clubs, figuratively speaking, in the like we have in a sense, and with musicians, where it's like no girls allowed, and it's a good thing. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not against women, right? It's for men. Yeah.
It's healthy. It sounds healthy.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, I almost always had. I mean, I've always had male friends, but I always had closer female friends, and
Yeah.
I just thought like, again, like when I was a teenager, my little sister was born, and taking care of her, and my mom always doing her weird shit about like, can you imagine somebody like, going after your sister, like this sort of framing of male, just sexual interest in women in general as being like associating with preying on my new baby sister, that I was like, gotta
Wow.
protect, and
Yeah, that's insane.
so yeah, it was like a really and then also just being a 4 and artistic myself, and not in athletics at all. Just like did not get on with like
Guy
most
stuff.
Yeah.
most guy stuff, and being in a
Yeah.
men's group with Curtis was pretty interesting for me. But yeah, David, I always thought about that with you, and like, you know, you didn't have like a father around. You had 2 different women. So there was this sort of like, you know, like your nanny or whatever, right? And your
Yeah.
mom. So there's like that
And
sense of like having, you know, we're talking about your sexual instinct, having like that kind of 2, 3,
a
like,
lot of chicks around.
yeah,
A lot of moms.
yeah.
Let's gather a stable of moms that are attracted to me, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. 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 Well, the other thing was just that when I started working at restaurants as a teen, like there were gay guys, and I was a lot more comfortable with those guys than for the most part. Although, like I've told you guys, I had my gang of 8 guys that were all SPSX,
That's
and
crazy.
that was a whole other vibe, you know, because there's, you know, there's something witchy in there about all of them that has a feminine, you know, at least some meager feminine integration to it.
Yeah, I remember as a boy, because my dad's a social 8, and he's like always been like big man on campus sort of vibe. And so there's always, I have some of my most formative memories of just people, namely men or, you know, college age boys, coming to my dad, and he's sort of their mentor, instructor, or whatever. And he's always just been really popular or a leader. So I just grew up seeing that, and you know, you just don't realize what you absorb. And it's also funny that we end up being the same type, because then I go to school and I look around me. I look around me, and it seems like all the other kids, like way younger than me, even though that's not the case. Like we're all the same
Yeah.
age,
That's
Yeah.
but like all the other kids seem like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so you just sort of, I always end up in these sort of situations where I'm like, follow me, you know, everyone, you know, just because I'm the one who knows what to do. and so that's always sort of been, it's interesting to look back, because being social blind, I don't see that. I can't really
Right.
hold on to that sort of role, but it always ends up that way sometimes. Like I end up being sort of some kind of center for other dudes, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Got a little social aid in me.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
Yeah,
do.
you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like the 2 big things I experienced was that kind of stuff around friends and males and stuff. And then, well, 3 things. And then sharing my art with people was cool. And then, especially in that zone, like it was like my art is like, it really is an expression of like how I see, you know, it really is like me. And so, and I don't really put that forward very much. You know, I just kind of like, I draw over here and I do my paintings, but I don't like really, I don't think emphasize to other people how much they are me. And so that was like a cool thing to share with some people. And then in Sufism, there are these things called fanahs, which mean annihilations. And there's something that I've studied a lot of. And I feel like I experienced some level of fanah, like just complete acceptance of my nothingness and death, like in a way that I didn't think I could embrace something. Like, you know you're gonna die. You know, like I could die in this moment, and you're like ready for it. But then there was some level of accepting death that was so total. So yeah, it was an amazing event.
How do you feel in terms of the, I don't know, any effects on depression or whatever?
I'm still kind of sitting with it, but I mean, I feel better. I'm not feeling like I was describing it before as like to Alexandra as like the depression felt like I was laying down in like a puddle of water that was like coming up just like, you know, a couple inches, and it was like anytime I could easily just tune into like the feeling of that water, that puddle, that frequency of like misery and hatred, and it was like much more. Instead of just being just down and sad, depression, there was like a vibration of negativity and like hatred that was kind of new. So that was pretty just felt like misery. So feel better, but I like, at the end of the night, like Emeka and I were talking about self-pres, vitamin E, hormone regulation.
I was just going to say, just real quick, pardon me for interrupting, but I had, mid-level depression, chronic depression, starting at like 6 through till I got, all the way to like 35 or 40. And one thing that pretty much stopped it almost entirely was I started taking a certain kind of algae, which has amino acids. And, a lot of the recent research on brain chemistry is about using certain amino acids to treat certain different disorders and shit like that. And that just really changed things a lot. And there's also Paul Stamets, that the psilocybin guy. Mm-hmm. He's got a multi mushroom thing that you can just get like on Amazon, and that's really good. Both of those really help with the whole depression thing.
Yeah, because Emeka was also telling me just about hormonal changes as you get older and all these other kind of things that, like, if you're depressed, your body might just not be getting enough of this kind of vitamin or this thing. And so I want to do a whole kind of like self-pres education journey thing or something to brain chemistry.
Like to contribute.
Yeah, you got a lot of options.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, no, I want to talk to both y'all about that kind of stuff. Just like I'm so ignorant about like what is a vitamin.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming in terms of the body is so complicated and there's so many different things, but and nutrition can be like a religion for a lot of people. Just the different diets, and people get really, like politics, people get really passionate about their little corner of this is the way to be healthy. But it's one of those things that I'm interested in because it feels like similar to the Enneagram, like getting at some kind of hidden puzzle for something like the body that has so many moving parts that if you can sort of figure out the matrix of how your body feels good and what stops it from degenerating, it feels like magic to some degree.
Yeah, no, I would love to learn more because that stuff is so overwhelming and it's so abstract for me. Like you can talk about like, the gods of this Egypt or whatever, and I can like, oh yeah, perfect sense. And then, but then you talk about like what a B vitamin does, and I can't hold it.
I mean, to be honest, I don't. I just follow these super self-prezi nerds, and I'll. Like they have that
just try something,
Yeah, basically, like you don't have to understand how something works in order to just experiment with it to see. I mean, I'm sensitive enough to know if something's helping, and I just need to know a little bit about what the purpose is. But generally, like, if you try something and you feel better, then you needed it. Then sometimes you try it long enough until it doesn't feel good anymore. So like, I'll probably try 5 or 6 things every year. And maybe one thing will survive in terms of like, this actually makes me feel better, and it doesn't make me feel worse if I keep using it. And then if that works, then I'll go back and see, all right, so what the fuck was that? Like, why?
Yeah.
And then maybe somebody will ask me and I will be like, I don't fucking know. I just tried it and I feel better. So that's all I needed.
Yeah, I'm not going to get religious with you on it at all.
Yeah. It's overwhelming for me. Like, it's just too much. I mean, I've been looking at this stuff since 2008. And there are a lot of things that I don't even remember why. I could look it up, but I don't really know why I'm doing it. I just know that it works.
And then there's things like I'm nerding out here, but like
body types.
What the capsules even that a lot of seemingly good supplements come in can be detrimental in various ways. Not necessarily to the supplement itself or its effects, but just to the body in general. Yeah. So you got to find companies that make things, with good capsule ingredients.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
The
because there's a
rabbit hole
lot
goes
of,
deep.
I mean, you wouldn't even expect it. Just, I mean, even like your typical whatever stuff you might find, supplements you might find at Whole Foods, they're often in capsules. It's not like they're horrible for you, right? But they're just not great. They're not healthy.
yeah.
That's one thing that is interesting about it to me is that you do have to be really healthy. You have to be an independent thinker. Like you
Yes.
can't just like go to the store and take stuff off the shelf because the conventional thinking is designed to keep people sick. And it's really kind of like you start to. I understand why people that there are all these self-pressed conspiracy theories because why would these companies go out of their way to make sure that people don't get stuff that used to keep people skinny and healthy?
Yep.
Why would they create drugs to make sure people stay like it doesn't make sense?
I mean, Coca-Cola used to have cocaine in it. I mean,
They're trying to keep our medicine away.
Anyway, old man's getting fired here.
All right. Well,
We should do an episode about just like a light softball of roasting the types and how they crash out.
crash out. Like, what do you mean? Like how they just
Like
ruin
you
them?
say, like the
Crash and
BHE,
burn, just
like
like-
the BHE guide to crashing out, like all the meltdowns that the types
Meltdown.
have.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be
that'd be
funny.
fun.
Oh, that would be fun.
Could throw in
Just-
some Trifix stuff because it kind of needs to.
That's true. Yeah, we
Maybe.
could
And you
just
could do, I mean, wings too. Like
we could
Yeah.
just do them
The
all.
way-
Yeah, no, that's true.
the way 9 Wing 1 versus 9 Wing 8 spins out.
Pretty
Mhm.
different. Yep.
I'd never spin out.
I am not spinning out right now.
I'm not
That's
spinning out
reminding
right
me.
now.
For some reason, I'm flashing to one particular scene. There was an SPSX 9-wing 8 Bermuda that I dated for a few years, and I'm flashing to a scene where she was driving, and we were in some kind of fight, and I yelled at her at the top of my lungs right into her ear while she's driving. So there's the difference.
There we go.
Yeah,
There we
it
go.
was, it was bad. She said I fucked up her ear permanently. I don't think I did. But
Oh my god.
Just leaving a little David mark.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
she was doing the
apparently
9-wing
dream-
8 thing of where just that extreme not listening. Like, did you not hear me? I've said this a dozen
Yeah.
times.
Yes. Yeah. We've been there. Yeah. You guys should watch that Menendez show. Not that we should necessarily do an episode on that, but I don't know. Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a series? Is it
Netflix?
several? Is it like 6 episodes?
It's like that same Dahmer series. It's like
Oh,
the
yeah,
next
that's right.
season of that. It's
the
like an
next
anthology.
season. Yeah.
So yeah,
It's pretty fucked.
it's rough.
Oh, and is it a
Parent
brand
killing,
new
I'm always
season?
for.
Yeah, same.
That's like
Yeah.
that's
It's
like
an
the
eight,
best part.
It's an 8 father.
Yeah,
Cool.
the parents
That'll
are crazy.
Really
I have
bad, like,
fantasized about
rough.
that at some point.
God.
I really, really hated my parents
God,
for a long
yeah.
period of time. I had to get through that one. Realize that they're people with their types, and they didn't hate me.
Ugh.
Forgive my parents.
Yeah, this one was rough. It was an 8 dad. I think the 2 boys are boys. They're like fully grown adults. Are I think a 9 and a 3,
Mm.
and then the mom she's either some like 9-wing 8 or like a narcotized 6 or something like that. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's pretty interesting. In
I
a
want to
dark-
watch people kill their
dark way.
parents. Yeah,
And
I'd like to see that.
Season 2 came out this year, or is it old?
Just came out.
It came out.
Okay.
It just came out. Yeah.
So it's somewhat topical. or
It's
whatever.
fresh.
Yeah, and Javier
fresh.
Bardem is the father.
Oh yeah, that.
Oh.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
He's a great actor.
Oh, he's excellent.
Chloe Seven, blah blah.
Oh,
whatever
she's
her
in it?
name is
Huh.
is the mom. Yeah,
Interesting.
She's got a sexiness about her that's unique. There's something very specific about her vibe whenever she plays her roles. I'm like,
Like her scent.
something about the craziness that emanates from her eyes.
Craziness.
I don't know.
You like that wild. You like that
Yeah.
chaotic
Crazy
feminine.
chicks, man.
Yeah, you just can't move in with them. That's the
Yeah,
lie.
yeah, yeah. Just make them go insane, and they'd be like, "Hey, you're being insane."
gotta stay over there.
What was I gonna say? What do you guys type? Javier, whatever.
Oh, Bardem. Yeah,
He's
right.
7
Could he
wings 8 or 7 wings 6.
Whoa,
I think
whoa.
I think he
Really?
might
I feel like he's. I guess I've only seen him play 8s, but he just seems like such an
yeah, he's not a core 8, I don't think.
like
No.
a bulldog.
Yeah, we had we were wondering if he was a 7 wing 8, and he talked about that role that he played in is it No Country
for Old Men?
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
he was like really moralizing it, and he's a very friendly guy too. Like he has the capacity to do.
gross.
He's probably 8 fixed, but like he has the capacity to step into that. But like he's really
He's more dynamic and sunny.
he's also moralistic too.
Mm.
There's
Oh,
some 6
that's a
in there.
bummer.
So about 7 wing 6.
Yeah, I think that's where we have him currently. 7 wing 6.
Okay.
All right, I gotta get going.
Well, cool.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't really
Is there
care
more
about
zone stuff, or we have milked that?
I mean, at this point, doing deep dives on each stem specifically. So we've done 3-1, and then we just did 3-2. That's going on Friday. So,
Okay.
so new stuff is coming up. The deeper we look at each one, but nothing to the point where there's been like a big shift in retypings.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I mean, at this point, usually there, at least for me, the way it works is I'll go a stretch where like there's nothing new, and then all of a sudden some new edge, and it's like, all right, then we get a whole bunch of new insights. But right now it's more like just looking at each one and fleshing it out and trying to like give more dimensions to the different ways that it can show up. So we just did 3-2, and it was kind of interesting to see all the different ways that 3-2, even, you know, we've looked at 3-2 being like this sort of romantic cuffing season, but it's also all the ways that we sort of try to contain and categorize sexual relationships. And so like the fuck buddy is still 3-2, or the situationship is still 3-2. Like if you're going to say you're going to be this thing in my life for the long term or the short term, that's, you know, to try to contain and leverage that instinct. And so there's the romantic side of it. There's also the unhealthy side of it. And I also
like
think
possessive side.
Yeah. And so even like this, we're thinking about this stuff with the Diddy case, and just the whole phenomenon of all these rich people like taking people's booty holes and shit. That's still, because it doesn't feel it doesn't feel sexy, because it's kind of like I want to exercise my power by leveraging it to take sexuality or take people's bodies, and it's not validation seeking, and it's not even about what you're attracted to. And so that sort of the hookup scene in that sense can be 3-2.
Interesting.
So that was, and even just looking at the other instincts like social 3-2 and self-press 3-2, like the curating that instinct, like deciding this is like how you want to contain that instinct. And so that was cool to sort of like expand 3-2. So that's what I've been trying to do, is just go through all the instincts and like find more dimensions and more examples of, or each zone stem, find more examples. Nothing new, but yeah.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Pose.
See y'all. Maybe we can record next week. Be ready to do a roast. Come with some material.
All right.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me the topic again, or
It's just
message in the
roasting,
chat or whatever.
like BHE guide to crashing out. So like all the different
crashing out.
ways the types can crash out, or that we've just meltdowns.
Oh, meltdowns. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Meltdown, tantrums, that kind of
tantrums.
Ruin their whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
shit. Okay. All right. Some more call outs. Great. Let's upset everyone again.
Yeah.
Exactly. We need something like that. We need
Yeah. Let's make people mad at us again. Okay. All right. I'm down.
Okay.
All right.
See you guys.
All right.
Later, y'all.
Y'all.
Good night.
Fucked up every single minute, but you call me down and ask me why I'm cheating. I feel shadow. Guessing we some therapy. Pussy, push upon my